Utilitywise is an energy and water cost management consultancy that helps businesses cut costs, reduce consumption and lower their carbon footprint. Now, the company has almost 30,000 commercial customers here in the UK and several thousand in Europe. The company has also reported full-year earnings today, with broker FinCap saying they were ahead of their revised expectations, with strong growth in revenue and profit. Now, Jeff Thompson, the company's chief executive, is on the line with us. Hello, Jeff.
Good morning, Charlotte.
Now, Jeff, can we run through the figures? What were you most pleased about?
Well, I think, generally a very strong set of results. So, as you rightly said a moment ago, strong revenue and profit growth. So a 41% increase in revenues, again, strong EBITDA growth, and we've also announced an increase in dividend as well. So, generally, I think all of the financial indicators are very positive.
Now, Jeff, you have two divisions, enterprise and corporate. Which was the standout segment within the period then?
Well, it's a good question. I mean, both divisions grew strongly. Interestingly, corporate division was, in absolute terms, it was a stronger rate of growth. But, what we're doing is we're investing in both of those divisions, investing in our proposition, and consequently we're getting, good traction with our new customer acquisition. And, I think, the future certainly for both divisions is very, very positive. So pleased in both contexts.
And what about repeat business, recurring contracts and renewal rates? Do today's numbers show you are making the most of cross-selling opportunities?
Yeah, it does. I mean, I think a couple of things to say there. Firstly, our renewals rate in both divisions is very, very strong. So not only are we able to acquire new customers, but we're renewing our existing customers. Very, very important, clearly. And as I just touched on, we've invested heavily in our proposition. We made an acquisition earlier in the year with TMAC Technologies. And so really that for us was an important part of, completing our proposition to new commercial customers and indeed to our existing customers. So my point there is that, lots of progress being made, and that's really evidenced in both the financial results, but also the run rates in terms of new customer acquisition and renewals.
Now, Jeff, in your statement, you highlight the multi-channel approach the company has adopted. Can you tell us more about it and tell us about the investments you've made in that field as well?
Yes, certainly. I mean, I think the first thing to say is that, with approaching 30,000 UK customers and, as you said earlier, several thousand in Europe, if I just take the UK market, our view is that there's over 2.45 million businesses in our prospect universe. So if you think about that for a moment, we've only got a very small market share in absolute terms. So there's an awful lot more that we can do. And so the investments we're making is to make sure that we can reach out to those new prospects, those new customers, in a variety of means. So, historically, we've built our telephone channel and we've been able to recruit energy consultants who reach out to new prospects over the telephone. But we're also investing heavily in our field sales team, in our e-commerce platform. We're driving more inbound activity because we're investing in our marketing function and in our account management function. So there's a plethora of investments, if you like, all designed to just grow our market share and reach those new customers.
Now, Jeff, in a separate statement this morning, you told investors that there has been an important and immediate change to the company's existing payment terms with a key energy supplier. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, of course. I mean, the first thing to say is if you look at our revenue mix, over the last few years, we've had a roughly a sort of 40% run rate of contract renewals and extensions, the 40% representing the renewals and extensions component of our revenues. And what's happened is that historically, we had different commercial terms for those extensions and renewals. And what we've been able to announce this morning is evidence that through the close relationships we've got with the supply industry and our suppliers, we're very pleased to announce this morning that we've converted, the commercial terms have changed, firstly. So all business that we're writing, whether it's a new customer acquisition or a renewal, the commercial terms are the same. And in the context of this RNS this morning, what we're also doing with that supplier is looking backward at all of the historic renewals that were written, and we've converted that to cash. And that's been one of the themes that certainly from a city and from an investor sentiment point of view, people have been concerned about. So we're very pleased that we're showing demonstrably that we're narrowing the gap between, our rev recognition and our cash collection.
So we can expect similar deals in the future then?
Well, there's a lot of discussions underway, yes, and I'm very hopeful that we'll be able to announce similar news in due course.
Okay. Now, Bryn Sheridan is joining the board as Chief Operating Officer in November. So what does he bring to the party?
Well, I mentioned a moment ago that we acquired the TMAC Technologies business in April, and that business is performing well. And what we're doing is we're rolling out certainly our controls and our data and our analytics capability across both our corporate customers and our enterprise customers. So, that's become an important part of our proposition. And Bryn really comes to us with a vast experience of working in that industry. He was previously leading a business called Energy Solutions Group that was acquired by SSE just over a year ago. Prior to that, well, certainly Bryn was heavily involved in the growth of ESG before it was acquired by Scottish and Southern. And he was involved prior to the ESG experience. He's been involved at Satchwell Control Systems and Schneider. So he comes to us with a really strong pedigree of operating in that controls and energy analytics marketplace.
And with regards to the acquisition you have just mentioned, your most recent one, TMAC Technologies, when will it be earnings accretive or enhancing?
Well, it's a good question. We announced, in April the acquisition, and the deal structure is one where we paid a combination of cash and paper. There was an initial consideration of £10 million, and then there's there's an earn-out period over the next 2 years. So the point to make is that that business unit is on plan. If it hits its earn-out, which we fully expect it will, then we'll have paid just over 6 times EBITDA multiple for the business. So we've paid a sensible price for it, and equally importantly, the business is performing, on plan. To give you an example, we're rolling out that controls technology to our corporate customers, and we're getting some significant success there and some traction, which we're excited about. And we're also developing that capability so that it's relevant to our enterprise customers as well.
Okay. And what's the acquisition pipeline looking like currently? What would you do going forward?
Well, again, I've mentioned the kind of market share we've got in the UK. So a lot of our focus is on continued organic growth. We've got lots of headroom, great opportunities to continue to scale the business. So that's our primary focus, and we're doing that obviously in the UK and then separately in Europe. However, we do remain acquisitive and open to opportunities. But clearly, anything that we do has to fit very clearly with our overall strategy. We're not going to overpay for a business, clearly. Anything we do will be accretive and earnings enhancing. And hence, we haven't got a kind of a target list, but we remain open to opportunities is really the point I'm making.
Okay. Well, hopefully that will help boost the share price a bit, because the share price has lost over a third of its value over the past 12 months. Yet that hasn't stopped Neil Woodford, a very well-known investor, to top up his shareholding to 26%. So tell me, what does that mean to you, this investment and your relationship with Neil?
Well, I'm very pleased that we've got Neil and his team on board as supportive shareholders, and I can't speak for him and his team, but we've got a good open relationship with them. They understand the strategy that we're trying to evolve and roll out and implement, and I think certainly our view is that they're taking a long-term view. So, what we're doing as a management team is we're staying very focused on strategy, on implementation, and on delivery, and we're investing in the right parts of the business in order to grow that long-term potential that I touched on earlier. So it's great to have people like Neil, and we've got a whole host of other very strong institutional shareholders who are backing that strategy, which I'm clearly very pleased about.
Including yourself, by the way.
Yeah, I remain a big shareholder, and that will remain the case. Yeah, I'm quite happy with where we are and what our prospects have in store for us.
Okay, Jeff, thank you very much.
Thank you, Charlotte. Thank you.
Jeff Thompson, Chief Executive Officer at Utilitywise.